Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from whenever you are watching this incredible presentation. My name is Brisa Lindoro. I'm a representative from the Immigrants Rising Home is Here cohort for the Arizona state, and I am super happy to share some resources that we have on entrepreneurship. Again, I gave you that warm welcome. This is who I am and how I came into the space of entrepreneurship. I am a recent GCU alumni. When I say recent, I mean it's been a little bit over a year now since I graduated. I have my heart very much set into my community and being able to provide these resources because it's not always about having the opportunity to go to college. Not everybody gets that. It's not always about what am I going to do after high school. There's other opportunities and pathways rather than the traditional ones as well. In all honesty, I came into this because I just simply needed to pursue a way to create income for my family. I became an entrepreneur, like many of us, and like many of our parents and our family members, out of need. I was able to build a pathway for a career. As you can see on the picture on the top right, I am a dreamer. So, as many of us know, we do have some opportunities that are restricted to us, but I also wanted to choose something that can create opportunities for other individuals in my community. Entrepreneurship is truly for everybody, regardless of your English proficiency, disability, childcare, caregiving, or your immigration status. Entrepreneurship is something that you can establish for yourself and is a pathway that is often overlooked many times. How do we get started? And what even is entrepreneurship, honestly? First and foremost, there are two things that we need to make sure. One is that you are fully incorporated and established with the state that you are with, in our case, Arizona, and we'll go a little bit more in depth in the following slides. An EIN number, as you see, is an employer identification tax number. Now, this is something that the IRS gives you in order for you to fully be established and, for example, open a bank account for where you can create and have income. And when you're invoicing an individual, you are making sure that you're getting paid the right way. How do you apply for an EIN? An EIN is super simple. It's a process that takes 5 singular minutes, and you can do it by clicking on the website here. You will also have access to all of these slides once we're done. Some basics on entrepreneurship. Being an entrepreneur is that you are working for yourself. You are not employed by a company. And that means that you are the one that is looking for clients, that's looking for resources. A lot of times when we think about this, we think about the gig economy, which is Upwork, which is, for example, Angie's. It's somewhere that you can say, hey, these are my services, and people that are looking for those services can go ahead and receive them from you. Now let's understand some contracting and freelancing. For this, you are responsible for all of your work. You are typically, for example, in a job that you are an employee from. You receive a W-2 from your employer. As a person that is an entrepreneur, you are the one that's responsible for making sure that you're keeping track of everything. So for every client and every person or every contract that you're gathering or working with, you have to complete a W-9 for. A lot of these little details are also going to be in this link right here that tells you the nitty-gritty of it. What exactly is a W-9? How do you fill out a W-9? And what does it mean? Especially in making sure that you are protecting yourself. One, learning how to invoice individuals, and two, being able to establish a contract that protects you. One of the things that I ran into as a person that has never had any experience in business or in entrepreneurship was, what is invoicing? Invoicing can be literally as simple as a Word document where it lists your services that you provided and the amount that you're charging for and who you're charging to. It is quite literally just a receipt of the work that you're doing, that you are providing to, for example, an individual that hired you or that contracted you for a project. In terms of contracts, contracts can be very intimidating, but there are resources that we will touch upon at the end of this presentation where we will be able to get resources on how do you contract, how do you create a contract, and how do I protect myself. What is an independent contractor, and what are the differences between a consultant, a freelancer, and such? Remember that as an independent contractor, you are not an employee, you are a separate entity. For example, myself, I am the CEO of Bretzel Media, so I am not an employee of any of my clients or of any individual that is hiring me. I am a contractor because I am offering them a service in exchange for monetary value. In order to produce a specific type of work or product, determine an amount of time. When I talk about this, it means like, for example, if you're looking up Parker Dewey, micro internships, a project can take up to 20 or 50 hours, or sometimes it can be a project that is even 3 months long. That is what differentiates you as an employee and as an independent contractor, is that you're not always fully long time. You're doing it in different increments and positions as well. Some pros of independent contracting is that you don't need a social security number. You can be an independent contractor with your ITIN number. You can receive profits with no taxes initially withheld. But remember, we're trying to do this the correct way. So we want to make sure that we are saving some of that income so that we can pay our taxes at the end of the year. You also have the ability to set your own schedule. Typically, when you are working, for example, from a 9 to 5, a contractor can work at all times. This can be both a good thing and a bad thing because you want to make sure that you are having a balanced work life where sometimes I can work from 9 to 9 p.m., from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., or sometimes I can take 4 hours doing a singular project. It really does depend, and you do not have to be within that 9 to 5, for example, as if you were an employee. You can also work with multiple people at the same time, which is really great. As we're going through this, there are some cons. As I mentioned earlier, you do have to be liable for all of your finances. You do not have the benefits that you typically do. For example, if I was contracting with a restaurant, that restaurant might offer benefits to their employees. However, because I'm not an employee, I'm a contractor, I do not receive all of those benefits. And as I mentioned here, some of your taxes, you have to withhold them. They might not be withheld instantly from what you're getting paid, but you are the one that is responsible in making sure that you are being financially conscious of those. Now, paying taxes. You've heard me talk about numbers all this time, but we want to make sure that as I am walking you through this, you understand, one, what an entrepreneur is, right? Two, the differences between you and just a typical employee and what that pathway looks like. There's great things like flexibilities, but also the little terms and things that we're scared of, like the IRS, right? As we mentioned before, you have to make sure that you have a W-9 form for every person that you are contracting with. And you have to make sure that when you are paid more than $600, you are reporting all of that income. For instance, as an individual that has my own contract, right? If I am getting paid $1,500 for a 10-hour project, out of those $1,500, not only do I have to report them, but I also like to take about 10% of that and put it into a savings account so at the end of the year, those taxes are being withheld some way, right? Here's a little bit more about what that looks like. Oftentimes, a 1099, if by the person that contracted you, is sent over to you, you want to make sure that this is a two-way street. And that the IRS also allows business expenses. So, for example, all of my miles that I take traveling between my office and my client, all of those are tax deductibles. So you can actually help that be deducted from your earnings as well, which is another benefit of being an entrepreneur and having your own business. Now we're going to move forward to business structures. I've given you a lot of information on the IRS, on making sure that you're doing the right process in terms of getting paid, making sure that you are ready in terms of what that looks like, what W-9s are, and how we're going to move forward a little bit more in depth. Now, you have to consider your options. You can work for yourself, which, as you see there, could be a sole proprietor. You can be a partner, corporation, an LLC, or a work co-ops. What are the differences between of these and what are the benefits of each? Let's get into it. Sole proprietors means that you are run by yourself and yourself only. A partnership is that you are doing an association with somebody else. For example, if me and my friend decide to start a business, they do the content creation, for example, on my end, and I do the marketing strategy. That would be a partnership. Or a corporation, which is something that we typically think about in big corporations. That means that they have shareholders and they have a board of directors. And what does that look like, right? On my end, I would heavily recommend an LLC. This is a limited liability corporation, and we talk about this a little bit more. So it is allowed by the state statute that provides the limited liability features of a corporation and the tax efficiency of operational flexibilities of a partnership. What is all that mumbo jumbo, right? A limited liability company basically means that you are a separate entity. Compared to a sole proprietorship, you as an individual are completely tied to all the work that you're doing. So, for instance, if somebody decides that the work that I have done does not speak or does not meet their standards, so they decide to sue me, that means all of my personal assets are completely tied to the work that I did to this client. However, as an LLC in a separate entity, somebody that, hey, this is a company that I am representing and working for, if that same client came and sued me, for example, they would only be able to touch the assets that are within the LLC. So that means that my personal mortgage, my personal car loan, all of that will not be untouched, and it protects me as an individual and it goes towards an LLC. As we're working and going through these structures, we will also make sure that I'm trying to break it down as easily as I can. For a worker or co-op, it is typically a group of members that kind of join together and can control the structure and practices of a work environment. A lot of the places that I've been able to see this happen is that you have multiple companies that come together and that they are united. For example, different products. Let's say I have a product that does shampoos, and then there's another business that does body washes. And then they decide to come together and go into somebody that does cosmetics. That would be a worker co-op. So they all join forces together and so that they can be as a representative. So when they go over and they scout for clients, they say, hey, this is who we are. And then these are the different sections of what we do. Now, as an entrepreneur, you will have to, one, remember you are yourself. Create a portfolio. What does that look like? A portfolio is typically a presentation or a cover where clients that are looking to contract you can look over your work. For me, as a marketing person and a content creator, I typically have one photographies that I've taken for other clients and I put them together. I also let them know my different services. So for me, myself, and I will have a digital marketing package and some examples of what that looks like. I will have a photography package and what the different works that I've done looks like. And this differs to different businesses that you have or different ideas. For example, if you are a business where you are crocheting and selling your crocheting creations, you will put it all together in a nice portfolio of different characters that you've done before. And then when somebody comes to you, you can show them, hey, these are my abilities to work so. Now, with that being said, being a contractor means, or being your own business owner means that you have to go out there and get new clients, correct? So as you're actively seeking, there are times where You will have lots of highs and lots of lows. Sometimes you will have three clients all at once, and it's a super nice and busy season, but sometimes you're only going to have one. So you do have to know that that is a risk. That is part of being a benefit. That is a risk of having all of those benefits together, correct? So I am able to be flexible. I am able to gather all my full paycheck without taxes taken out initially. I am able to work my own time schedule and with different individuals all at the same time. But the risk is that you also have to consistently be working towards getting new clients, correct? As I mentioned before, here is a very 4 bullet points of what exactly the sole proprietorship is. All of the liability is on you as an individual. Benefits of an incorporation, you can hire employees, you can have interns, you have that branding as an official business. And then in terms of our dreams and what our different skill sets are. For me, as a marketing individual, I do not have to have permits and licensing. But for somebody that maybe wants to paint murals, for somebody that maybe wants to be in construction in HVAC, you might have to have those different requirements in terms of permits and licensing in order to fully execute your business. Moving forward. As we're going through these, know that this can be an incredibly overwhelming process. I would know a thing or two as I have completely done this on my own, but that doesn't mean that you have to. For example, if you want to find individuals that can help you with your taxes, the Volunteer Income Tax Program, VITA, is absolutely amazing, and they walk you through that entire process. You can also contact your small business development centers and even the IRS. I know it seems scary. However, when you go over and you tell them, hey, I need help, they're very, very incredibly patient and they walk you through the process as well. These are some additional entrepreneurship resources and exactly how we get to that. As I mentioned before, you will have access to all of these slides after this recording. Some legal support. We did talk about those contracts. What does that look like? How do you go through all the jargon and make sure that you are protecting yourself as you're trying to make your dreams come true? The Arizona Legal Center is absolutely amazing. The educational skill and developments, the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has so many workshops and resources to help small business owners not only network and find clients, but also they walk you through the entire process, as well as the Arizona Minority Business Development Agency, and they offer all of these as well. One thing that I really do recommend as you are thinking on taking this pathway to entrepreneurship and opening your own business and your skill set is that the more people you know, the better it is because you have to pitch yourself. You have to say, hey, this is who I am, these are my services, and you will only get better if you network. So I highly encourage you to attend free networking events in your area, and the Arizona Hispanic Chamber one is amazing. Please support our Immigrants Rising work. This is somewhere that you can stay connected with us. And now please stay connected with me. All of the information that we just went over is very broad and it can be very overwhelming. However, please consider me as a resource. I am here for you. Connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message, anything that I can do to help guide you. I am here for you. I have been in entrepreneurship for the past almost 3 years as a small business owner. I have been with countless of clients, one of them being Pulp Pantry, which was actually featured on Shark Tank and was able to get investment from them. I did some market research for them, as well as just so many other things. I am here for you as a resource so that we can walk you through this entire process. And still we rise, whether you are uncertain of what your future looks like, whether you just need some guidance, whether you just maybe want to know if this is the right way for you, or if you have a skill set that you know you're really good at, but you don't know how to monetize it. I am here for you and anything that you need. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a great morning, evening, or afternoon whenever you're watching this.